welcome back to DT Koi, and on this episode I've gone with the GKP to Adam Byers, which you might be able to recognise that in the background. So I'm going to take a really good look around his farm and hopefully ask him a few questions, or if other people ask him questions then I'll probably film it along the way. And yeah, not too bad skies. Hopefully meet the Twisted One and a few others today as well. So it's all looking good. The trip down this morning with Gaz, it was quite, well, it was raining where we were at 6:30 this morning, but looks like we're gonna have a nice day down here. It's a bit cloudy, but yeah. So I'll get back to you in a bit. Look at his face.
Oh, he gutted me.
I spent a few years living in Leeds, so it lasts with you. Okay, so look, well, I think I've said hello to everybody, but welcome, big welcome to Byers Farm. We really appreciate you guys coming to see us. We appreciate the interest, and I know some of you are super amazing and have been before. And so now you're all on the same level. That's great. So I'm going to show you around. We'll show you what we do, which is breeding koi locally here in the UK and breeding it at a standard which wins awards at koi shows, and also right through to pick and mix type fish for kids and savvy older people. So we do the whole thing. I'll show you our parent fish. I'll show you some of the koi we got in production. You'll see some eggs that were laid this morning from our kahaki spawning. You will see some eggs that were laid yesterday from Deutsche tuber spawning. So we'll show you whatever we can. We are an operating koi farm. We work at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. We've cleared up as best we can. The public area is in the sales room, which is our neatest, tidiest, most sparkly area. Be thankful that we actually have like a reasonably nice floor now. It used to be, for the guys that used to come years ago, it used to just be mud. But so we've upgraded. But the rest of it is it's a working farm. So you've really got to watch your footing. There are trip hazards. There's nets. There's things that we are using, on a day-to-day basis that that you need to watch out for, basically.
Working environment.
Yes, yeah. So there's that. We're set up with a sales room. We have a brood fish polytunnel. We'll go through there first, and that's where we have our brood fish. We keep our males and our females separate because we only want them to spawn when we say, and in set combinations as well. And then the second polytunnel along is our growing polytunnel, if you like. That's the engine room really of the farm. Once we've spawned in specific combinations, and that comes down to female and male combinations that we try out from year to year, and when we hit on an optimized pairing, then we stick with that. Then they're grown on separately outside in our natural ponds, and then after about a month they're harvested about an inch and they come inside and we rear them on in the recirculation systems. Because koi basically don't breed true, and because we are chasing quality, we breed the varieties true, if you like. We have the same variety on the male and the female side, and as I say, with the optimized pairing, which can sometimes take a few years to put together. But even out of every spawning, it's only such a small proportion that...
That's the grade.
Yeah, just to give you a feeling of the ratios, for us, this on a pairing that actually works commercially for us, a successful pairing, it might be one fish in 1,000 fish that would be worth us growing for a second summer to take to Nisai. And we might sell that from £125 through to a few £100 with a few specials above that. So that's 1 in 1,000. So we have to rear 1,000 fish to get one like that for that kind of sales price. Okay, on a successful spawning day. Okay, and you know, for example, the fish that say that we have here in our pick and mix, like in the 3 to 4 inches, okay, they will be coming out of 4th selection. So they are roughly a 1 in 100. So for us to have, and I was almost going to tell you that because obviously we've got the game today, guess the number of fish in the tank. I know the number. I was about to say, for us to have that number of fish, we needed this number of like fry. But you know, we have to rear 100 fish to get one that we would then be good enough to put into one of our 3 to 4 inch mix selection even. Okay, so these are the sort of quantities we're dealing with. So we need a large volume of fry at about first selection size, which is 2-3 centimeters, around an inch. Our record for getting the fish up to that size is 27 days, but it's usually a week inside, about 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks outside. Okay. Once we harvest, we make our selections, we bring inside to the engine room where we would grow on the fish that we would grow on for the first summer, and we then drain the ponds and then do the whole thing again. And if we can get 2 uses out of the ponds in each year, that's great. We only have 6 ponds, we're limited, our site is very limited, unfortunately. We are much smaller than we really need to be. That's something we're working on at the moment. But so we might get out of our 6 ponds, we might get like 12 goes. We produce about 250,000 fry a year in a reasonable year from that. We'll walk around the ponds. Each pond producing maybe 20,000 fish to about an inch in size.
So how many of those fish? Sorry,
No, go on.
we'll have questions after, shall we?
Just fire away now, it's fine.
So out of those fish then, those fry that from the spawn, how many get through to the next grade?
Okay, so the question is out of from first selection, how many fish make it through? And in a successful spawning, about 5%.
Make it through?
Yes. But you know, year to year, what might be in my 5% in 1 year might be within the 95% of another year. Year to year, even with an optimised pairing, you know, it can vary. But I'm happy with 5%. I'm really happy with 6, 7, 8%, and I wouldn't just keep 5% if it wasn't there. So if it's sort of 1 or 2%, I would keep that, but then I wouldn't run that spawning again. Or I'd change them out, you know, we change the pairings, that type of thing. Yeah. So that's the way we use our natural ponds, and that's the reason we try to reuse them, is because I need as many goes as possible to rear my 20,000 fish, to try and get to that 250,000. And even then, across the year, there'll be maybe 5, 6, 7 fish that stand above the rest, which is such low numbers. And you know, this is one of the big drivers for wanting to expand, because you know, the more and more hobbyists are finding us, and they're finding that our fish, you know, work really well in their ponds. They may have fish there from, you know, from Japan, and ours stand up really well. And certainly for hobbyists that like that level, are the sort of level that maybe our top 5, 10. You know, we'd like to have more of those customers, but it's so difficult. For me to double the whole thing, to have this whole facility, to maybe rather than have 5 to 10, have 10 to 20. That's a huge endeavour. But that is actually what drives us. So whilst we work very hard to produce the best fish we can at each of the output points, if you like, the top 5 to 10 in the year, the 3 to 4 inch mix is, you know, really important to me, to be able to provide a really good mix across varieties and have nice examples there. All these things are really important to me, but it's all driven by scale, and then obviously being able to get more things right than don't go right. So there's that as well. Okay, that is a brief, if you like, summary of us. I'll tell you a little bit about me, because there's a lot of first timers here. This is not something that I've done my whole life. I used to effectively be in one of the professions. I used to be doing one of the financial professions. Did that for 20 years, and the last 10 years of that, I freelanced, and I've always had hobbies. Koi breeding was a hobby. In fact, I've always bred fish. Even when I was a kid, I used to breed tropical fish. Actually, do you know what? We've got some bristlenose plecos in. There's a bit of a project to help keep clean some of our baby fry tanks. And we went to Bradley, who was our first employee. He joined us just over a month and a half ago. When he was younger, he used to work at local major hydrographic. So we went up there, we picked up these bristlenose plecos, which is super cool. And I just love being around fish. You know, there's all the range of tropical fish. I used to breed a lot of those fish when I was a kid. And so now I'm a bit of a bigger kid, you know. This originally was a hobby to breed koi, with the objective to win competitive placings at koi shows. Okay, so that was my objective. You know, there were other objectives to produce unique fish, or you have a whole range of objectives, perhaps, if you were to breed koi. But that was one I took on, because that was a way of baselining the output of the fish that I bred against a very good standard. And after a few years, we had lots of success at it, thankfully. And some of our feature, our champion fish are on the poster on the side of the building. And it's not just those four. There's a whole list of them. They're on the website on the awards section. But we did a decent job. We had continual success year on year. And that, if you like, is what drives us. That's what drives the volume. And if you like, that all happened when I was a hobbyist. Once we won the Baby Champion 2016 All England Koi Show, which is with a kahaku bred here, and we made international press. There was it sort of came up on Google, articles in other languages. People had written about that hobbyist achievement. It was something that was thought to be not possible, and so I've achieved it, and it took a lot of it took a lot actually. So I had a pretty full-on day job at the time, and then I had this pretty full-on hobby as well to achieve that. So I probably wasn't spending as much time as I should do with the family. But it had taken on so much. The site didn't look anything like you're seeing today. I had a polytunnel, a couple of ponds. There were just swimming pools, and there was no infrastructure per se. But it had taken up a lot of my time and investment at the time. So I really felt a personal pressure that I put on myself to make a success of it. And I guess fortunately we did. But that was the end of the hobby. That was the end of the hobby. Winning that award, we beat something like 80 or 90 other fish. Not only did we win Baby Champion at that show, that fish was best in size 2 across all varieties. We had another fish at that same show which was best in size 1 across all varieties as well. So we totally wrapped up in the smaller sizes. It was like a major life achievement. I couldn't continue to put that kind of effort in. So we said, Amanda and I had a discussion about it, and we said, look, more and more people are wanting to buy our fish. We do have something here with that particular breeding line. Also starting to gain knowledge about the males we had and the females we had around kahaku. We could do something here to create like an escape to the country, do something different in life. Already had a career in the professions. We could do something different and just have a slightly broader range of experiences in our life. So we decided to do that, and we incorporated in 2017. Amanda staffed it up at that point, rather than going back to work. She would have been on a career break, so she sort of manned the phones, packed fish, shipped fish, whilst I maintained my day job and then still did this in the evenings. And it has taken all those years really till about 2 years ago to build up the facilities, because obviously as any of you building up a number of tanks will know, there's a huge infrastructure cost. I sometimes say that when I did koi breeding as a hobby, at that time my sort of hobby budget was what somebody would typically spend on a 4,000 gallon, like a reasonably nicely spec'd 4,000 gallon pond. Can you imagine whatever that is, that amount? I took that amount and I put a polytunnel up, dug 2 natural ponds, and bought a series of children's swimming pools and homemade filters and all that kind of stuff. That's sort of what I invested, which is, you know, quite a significant hobby sum to do my project. But going from that to being able to then stop being in the professional services and earning my living that way, and to earn my living solely through breeding and then selling koi carp, has taken an investment probably 10 times that. So, as well as the business needing to be successful year on year to help with that expansion, I also had to continue the day job to help to fund the expansion. And then COVID came in 2020. I had planned to go full time then, but you know, now a few years later we sort of know how the COVID period had been. But in February 2020 I had a freelance contract ending in March 2020, and I was really worried because I have huge financial commitments and none of us knew what was going to happen. And so I actually took a job at that time, a part-time job at that time. So I rather than going full-time here, I took a part-time job so that I knew that I would be able to cover my basic. I had some basic security, and was 3 days a week on that, 4 days a week on this, and then which was unsustainable. And then in 2021, we had to just go full-time on this. So it's been 2.5 years full-time, a year prior to that part-time, plus earning or living off koi farming. And now we need to expand really significantly again. We're a little bit penned in on our site, and so that's something we're working on. We've just taken on Bradley Rubra, who's come in as our assistant manager, and he's a young guy, but he has quite a few years experience in the aquatics trade and in koi, and he's come here to develop his experience in breeding, koi breeding, and he's just brilliant. He's hit the ground running, and he's a great asset. So hopefully in a few years' time we'll have a larger team and even more facilities and so forth. And that's the journey we're on. Okay, any more questions at this point in time? There's one over there.
I'm just going to ask, I mean obviously you're in an idyllic location here. Is there any opportunity to expand the footprint with fields around?
We've looked at it, we're looking at it. Not easy.
No.
Land,
It's prime land.
yeah, it's really tricky to get hold of, and I think, you know, we're not far out of London. I appreciate the love for our spot, because we think it's pretty cool to have this much greenery this close to London, so we're certainly lucky on that.
It's my old stomping ground. I'm born in Hertfordshire.
Well, okay. So, look, it's really tricky. The farmers around us, they need their land. They're using it. Mick next door, he has cows. He needs his space. You know, behind, similar kind of thing. So, look, we're on it. Watch this space.
Maybe something for the future, eh?
Yeah. Any other questions at this point? Obviously, as we're walking around, just ask me if you've got anything you want to ask. So at the moment, that's fine. We'll start with the fry ponds, I think, actually, and then we'll come back through the bluefish tunnel.
Yeah.
Look at what I've got vaping there. Surely you know, oh this guy, he doesn't even know that he's on film at the minute, does he?
Hello, mate.
Then I told you, the twisted ones, busy talking at the side. Finally, we managed to meet.
Yeah.
After 3 years in the making.
And yes, he does look like a 12-year-old.
Give off! It's getting bad with him, isn't it? Then you got Gaz over there. Oh God. I think
Too
I'm
many of us.
Well, what are you going to say? Don't start calling me a baby face, guys. Go on. Well, I've less of that. I'll just call me Junior and call him Senior. think that's the better idea, isn't it?
Who's seen you?
Yo!
Me, yeah.
Well, there's 2 days, so we've got to sort it out somewhere, but I'll catch you guys up in a minute.
Yeah, we still have loads of predator issues. I mean, there's the obvious one, which is a heron. Look, they're easy to protect against because we have this netting, the heron can't get through it, and we, we're in the process of, this year we've got to reline all the ponds and sort the netting out, sort the fencing out, and that's one of the things that we're doing at the moment. So, look, this pond needs TLC. But from here you can kind of see what we have. So herons is the obvious one. The thing is you have a gale and some of the netting blows down or it rips, and a heron visits you that day, and they can be in and they can largely wipe out a pond.
It's almost like they know as well.
Yeah.
You can sense it. Just a bit of a watching, aren't they?
Yeah. So herons are the easiest one to protect against, but if something goes wrong, then we will suffer significant losses. Yeah, and the thing is, and that has happened from time to time, not that often, because we're right on it, but it has happened from time to time. I even found a heron in one of the polytunnels a couple of years ago, stood over a net of my shower keepers, which was difficult. But I think we're reasonably busy most of the time, so hopefully he wasn't there or she wasn't there for too long. But anyhow, the other predators are things like there's all the waterborne predators, dragonfly larvae, water boatmen, all that sort of stuff. And look, they can be a real pain. There's been the odd pond where we haven't pulled out very many fish, and we pulled out more dragonfly larvae than fish, and then you kind of know what's happened there. And that's really tricky, whether it's a heron or something like that. We've put so much into it, that spawning, to get to that point. It might be an optimized pairing. It may be, eggs have been fertile, we've reared them, we've used space inside, which is money basically, and our time, like our infrastructure, and we have, when something like that fails, then there's nothing to get back from it. It is what it is. But and over the summer we only get maybe 2 goes on each pond, so that might be one of the goes. Grey wagtails, they're mine. Nobody would have thought the grey wagtail, cute little bird. Oh, it's little bird, nice white, black. There's a yellow on some of them. Oh, they're so cute. Yeah. Well, they stand at the edge of the pond and they basically just pick off the fry. Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
They're normally little insects, but I can imagine them going for fry.
Yes, I can tell you. They just, it's so. Anyhow, I think.
They can get through there as well.
Yes, and that's why they're my current biggest. Yes, nemesis. That's right. Yeah, because not much we can do about it. More nets and all this kind of stuff possibly, but they are so small. It'd be very difficult to protect against such a small bird. And I think that after being here now for a number of years, we've perhaps developed some of this wildlife that initially, we just love seeing more wildlife because, we just do. But then when they start eating your fish, it's a bit of a problem. So, yeah. So we stop knowing that certain amounts are going to not make it for whatever reason. But yeah, so there are those predators. Newts. We do have some newts. I think when I've harvested a pond, if I've found half a dozen newts, that's been a lot. They will eat some, but maybe we lose a few thousand fish to newts, something like that. That we can handle. That's a bit annoying, but it hasn't been too bad. The odd grass snake we find. Again, very, very rare. So mainly, heron, but we can easily protect against it. But the grey wagtails at the moment. Yeah, who would have thought? Yeah. So we've lined these ponds. I run them as natural ponds. That one we just relined a couple of days ago. We're filling that up now. Ideally, I would like mud, but we have a substrate. That's a brand new liner. We'll put a substrate into that, and when I was doing this as a hobby originally, you know, I had very little time. You know, even a few hours a day, which was a lot of hobby time every day. You know, for a breeding enterprise, that's nothing. So, managing a clay pond or a natural bottom pond would have just been a complete non-starter because of all the weed management and so forth. So I had to go with lined and learn how to use them like a natural pond, and that took me 4 years. So when I was a hobby, I had just 2 of these ponds, and it basically took 4 years of playing around with it. I'm not agriculture trained, but I sort of trained myself. So I bought the books that you would study at university, and I sort of trained myself. And but even then, you know, it just took time. Then after 4 years, I was able to then create the same outcome, repeat relatively consistently. So that's one of our key skills. There's various things we use, and it also depends on my water source. So we changed from the tap to a borehole a few years ago, and that also made a big difference, because the water, we have to go 120 meters down.
That's deep enough.
That water is well filtered, right? So it's actually so pure. It has almost no heavy metals in it. It's actually great water for, let's say, our recirculation systems, but it has no nutrients in it. There's almost no nutrients in it. It's not literally zero, but it's very close, minimal. And you need the nutrients really to kick off the process, the natural process to create the rotifers, basically. That's how we do things. So the fry that we rear, they don't stay inside very long. They come out at even 5-6 days sometimes old, and whenever the pond's ready. But they're like a Ferrari, these ponds. Maybe not quite, but they're, and I don't think this is fair on Ferrari, but as in they're finely balanced. So for me to get the like a race, like a Formula 1 car, a race car, there's like a little window where they operate really well, and that's when I can maybe get 20,000 fish out of one of these, an inch long. And if they're not in that window when I put the fish in, we'll get maybe 2,000. Now that's really, I know if you're a hobbyist, 2,000 fish, loads, but that's, for us, that's basically a failure. So we'll still use them, obviously, but you know, that's a significant loss. So identifying when that window is, that sort of narrow window, which can be sometimes 2 days, maybe 48 hours, sometimes a bit wider, sometimes a bit narrower. Getting the fish out in that right moment is critical. And if I get it wrong by, let's say, a day, instead of 20,000, it might be 2,000. If I get it wrong by a few days, it will be nothing, 0. So, you know, as good as 0. So, remember, these are the sort of things that I've learned over those first sort of few hobby years, with 2 ponds to practice on. And I get asked sometimes, how do you do it? But the bottom line is that there are lots of little tweaks and optimizations depending on how the water's changing, and you just have to, you can probably be taught it, like Bradley, for example, we will teach him, but other than that, so we learnt through trial and error, but quite a lot of trial and error. Yeah, so I think fish reared in a natural pond like that, I think is just fantastic, because they have all the first 2 weeks, which basically don't have to, we do feed, but artificially, but if you don't feed, it's almost as if it doesn't make any difference. And if you get it exactly right, then just as the rotifer population is dying down, the Daphnia population is increasing, and the fry then are the right size to eat those.
So you have to get a spot on with the live food, like, yeah.
Say again, sorry?
You have to get a spot on with the live food when they're introduced, that the live food will come at the right time.
Yes, that's it. And so when you get those, when the rotifers are there when they need it, and when the Daphnia is there when they need it, it's sweet, because you know you've got it just right. Like the Formula 1 car's been set up right. It's greased and oiled in all the right places. You know, and my record out of one of these ponds is 50,000, and I've done that a couple of times. Not last year, the year before. Yeah, we had two 40,000s. You've been here with a 40,000 with the Oakleys. Vincent Sue came down at really short notice. This was
He's over there.
just a moment when our workloads were just immense and we needed some help, and Vincent Sue came down at really short notice and helped us harvest this pond. And yeah, we had about. Oh, yeah. That was our first year of Asagis. Sometimes you have a. So that was a 40,000, and that year we had 2 ponds with 40,000. But like I work on the basis if I get 20,000 or 20 to 25,000, that's good. That for me that's success. And then occasionally I guess things just work particularly well. The Asagis, that first year of the Asagis, a couple of years ago, whenever it was, sometimes you have a combination when we put the males and the females together, and it just works really well from the start. Not only do you get the fertilized eggs and so forth, which doesn't always happen, but also that the genetic combination works. And our Asagis, we thought they looked quite good, and then last year the output from that first spawning, some of our customers started winning awards at koi shows, and one of them won like a most unique award at one of the Midlands koi shows. Kanoko made it into World Nishikoi magazine actually, and the blog. And when I was in Japan in February buying new broodstock, we popped in at Yugenji, who's in Michigami, which is like the Nagata breeders are spread out over an area of, you might drive 45 minutes, but there's like a village in the middle of all that called Michigami, where there's, you know, a little, a bunch of them, and that's supposedly where, you know, I understand where, you know, koi started and so forth. So it's quite a prestigious little village to be in, and it's pretty as well, which helps. Yugenji's there. We popped in, and the female that we use is a female from him that I bought through Gatwick Koi, so not direct, but we explained that provenance of the fish to him, and I showed him what we produced with it, and he was suitably impressed, which was really, really cool. You can imagine for me, to get that kind of feedback. I showed him that fish, plus also a range of others that we'd produced, and some of that particular one, and a proportion of our Asagi output have a feature called Kado Gin, which is basically a Ginrin, but just on the trailing edge of the scale, as opposed to Ginrin across, let's say, the whole scale. Both lovely features, but the Kado Gin, it's actually the Kado Gin on the Asagi just seems to work really well. Look, it's not something. It's something that's just gone right. And it was in one of the males, and it must have been partly in her as well, because we had a reasonably detailed conversation about proportions actually of what we saw of different types, and how long the Ginrin took to come out, and it's not immediately obvious when the fish are small. Anyway, so that was really cool. That Asagi spawning that we harvested with Vincent Sue, you know, award-winning offspring, and great feedback from the breeder who bred the female. So that, and he said to me, don't change the parent set. So I literally I haven't touched it. I bred the same parent set second year, and we will be doing exactly the same parent set again this year. And yeah, super happy with that. And actually that's one of the you know, great outcomes that we've had when we've started branching out from Kahaku. When I was in my hobby stage, it really feels like a distant past actually. I was only interested in Kahaku because at that point I was breeding fish solely to win a prize and to beat other fish in a koi show environment, to like baseline an achievement. And so I picked Kahaku because it's the #1 variety, and it's extremely widely produced, and therefore a very difficult one to beat other fish on, because they're just produced so widely. In actual fact, the selection on kahakis is tricky, but you can learn that. But actually producing them commercially is very, very difficult because there's just nowhere to go on the pattern. It's like the pattern has to be just very well balanced for it to be considered as a kahaku often that somebody would take into their pond. Like more well balanced than on most other varieties would need to be for somebody to accept into their pond, and that makes kahaku really, really tough. So, but anyway, when we were starting to build this out into a business, we started breeding other varieties. And look, the success with the Asagis is a great example of why that was a good decision to take, and also how that when we've looked at one of these other varieties and we've taken it on, we can also produce good examples of those. So that's been really satisfying, actually. Yeah, and that was all in these ponds. There you go. But you know what? That year, so in that pond we harvested the Asagis. In this pond over there, we harvested the 40,000 Kajakus. Well, I don't think you were here that day. I think that was with somebody else. But that was that same year, that was the other pond that worked well. Okay, so out of, I think I had 60,000 Kajakus that year at an inch. I only had 15 that were good, that were worth our while to grow onto this side. That's 1 in 4,000. 1 in 4,000. But then those Kajakus were really good, and out of that year, they were some of the best koi in terms of just general quality that I think that we actually produced. So koi breeding is
it's a numbers game, isn't it?
It's all of those things. So Vince says addictive, numbers game, temperamental. It is all those things, and we do our optimizations around the parent set, around our processes, and that just helps nudge us forwards enough to be able to get enough of the time for us to be successful. But these are really fine tweaks. Yes, question at that.
Apologies if you've already said, but do you spawn naturally or do you strip?
We do both. Yeah, we do both. When I get a new female in, and each year we will get we'll get some new stock in. This year actually I bought a lot more than I've invested for the next few years. The first job is just to get this female spawned. And the safest way for her to do that is naturally. And I just want that to happen. I want the female to get through the process. Ideally, I really want some fertilised eggs and so forth. But that's step one. Then she's in the programme. I'll put her with males that I know tried and tested. tried and tested, and so that also helped me test the fertility of her eggs and whether she's lays them well, this type of stuff. Okay, year 2 on a key variety we'll hand strip, probably, but honestly it depends on other operational processes that are going on. If I haven't got for me to do that work, I've got to be up through the middle of the night. It's a right pain in the neck, and for an important variety we will do that, and then if we get sufficient eggs we'll split the eggs, put the milk from different males with it, rear them all separately, different ponds in the growing on facility. That's how we do our optimizations. But for me to put that kind of time into it, it's got to be one of a more important variety for us, if you like, or we have to prioritise. Everything we do here is prioritised. We prioritise the budget we invest in our brood fish, and we prioritise our time, and this would be an example of how we would prioritise our time. Also, it depends on the time of the year, what the ambient temperature is and so forth as well. If it's really cold, I don't like to hand strip in cold weather, because although the water, we can heat the water, I can't do anything with the air because with our facilities that we've got. So that's a bit of a long answer. Both. I spawned this morning. We spawned kahaki this morning. That's been a natural spawning. I spawned Deutsche Achiever yesterday. That was natural. I spawned Deutsche Achiever a couple of weeks ago. That was artificial. across the year it'll be more artificial than natural, but just to give you some just some actual examples of things that are happening now.
If you had your outside and everything else, would you prefer to do it naturally?
I think for the first spawning, yes, because to bring the female into our program, and then to know that then time that we would spend on that, you know, on her in the future would be worthwhile. But no, if I had the time and facilities, I would spawn artificially.
You find you get a better success rate spawning artificially?
It can, on average, yes. But you know, things can go wrong when you spawn artificially as well. Not necessarily for the fish. I think it's a little bit harsher on the fish, but it's not like it's like 10 times harsher.
I would have expected it to be easier on the fish to trick them because they're not being battered around the pond.
I think that's quite a natural process,
Yeah.
and it's. I mean, I think you're starting with fish that are in good health. I mean, you know, so there were some of these sort of things that I would just take as a given, but I think it's probably worth sort of stating. You know, that your fish have got to be in good health first.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're parasite free. They're in good water. They've been like that for a while. They're in good condition. Yeah, they've been on the food for some time. You know, so you've got fish in good condition. And then I think it's just quite a natural process. It's there's a lot of flicking and splashing, but
Have you had any fish damages during the spawning?
occasional, but not the kind of it's usually like an equipment failure type thing. So if we have something drop into the pond that shouldn't be there, so it's usually our mistakes. I hand stripped. We did some Kiyotsuris, which is one of the varieties I brought back from Japan. We hand stripped. You know, okay, yeah. Well, it didn't. That one didn't go so well. We didn't get any fertilised eggs. Males are a bit young. You know, that's quite a firm process for the males to go through, and so I think that's probably a more aggressive process than them just. Yeah, I think in that instance. So I think also generalising is always a dangerous thing. I think my feeling is a natural process for the natural spawning is slightly easier on the fish. Yeah. So for example, our very big fish, which we'll show you, we will get there. Sorry. I was just talking to Gaz earlier. I was saying that I don't do a lot of talking on YouTube because I'm not so comfortable talking. I'm going on and on and on. As I am reflecting on that. But our very large females, our largest females, so Oakley, and we give them names, Opaline, you know, Oakley's well over a metre, 105 centimetres last time we measured her, which was, she's from Otsuka. Oh, when I went there, I showed him, that was a really cool moment as well, in Japan. I showed him the fish and what we produced as well with her, and he knew the fish, because she was...
What size did you run when you brought her over?
Well, I bought her from Kwanikoi. Kwanikoi bought the fish from Otsuka, I think a 6-year-old at 97 cm. And look, those types of fish don't grow on trees. So he knew the fish and triangulated it, even after all those years. So that was quite cool also to show him what we'd produced from her. And that was also quite good. I haven't hand stripped her. She is so big, I'd be...
You'd be struggling, wouldn't you?
I would be worried about being able to support her sufficiently well, and yeah. So an opaline the same. And the other thing with those very large fish is there's so many eggs that you know, that helps to manage my risks. I'm okay. We've spawned artificially mid 80s cm fish. That's like bread and butter. That's okay. But Opaline was 96 cm the last time we spawned her, and that was Mikashi. Yeah, that was a year and a half ago. It's just that much bigger. Yeah, that's how we do things. Yeah. So, any other questions at this point?
No.
Right, let's go that way. Basically, we've been clearing these tanks now.
Turn the back here.
We will use these tanks for spawning.
That is a son of that one, isn't it? Is it made a bidding war now, guys?
Fiver. 50.
Oh, damn. I might go to 16, does that work? I can't get as close as Gaz with his. I didn't bring my tripod with me, did I? Just look at the quality of that. You get carried back. Look at concentration. Just what I'd say, Gaz nearly got splashed. Look at the colours popping on them. Look at this. She's finally on camera. Hey, no language.
Oh yes, you could do so. You can edit
But yeah, look at them, no matter what, look at the quality of them.
I have bigger nets. I have much bigger nets. Yeah. This is what I had available. My Deutsche Chiba and metallic females are quite small.
Yeah. Don't know if you can see it. All on there. That's if it'll pick it up because I can't even see the screen. That's how light it is in here.
Deutsche Chibas, isn't it?
Look at them.
They're very nice, they are. I do like the Deutsche Chiba.
They are nice. Look at this, guys. And I'm going to extreme lengths. I'm walking on free sleepers. Not too bad, really. Look at the size of these. And if I try and turn round, nice and gentle. And I think it's a big coacle there, another one there, and I wish Cole would stop blooming bouncing about. Yeah, they're all stunning, but I'm gonna get off of this quick.
Last year, when I me going out there and buying absolutely direct. I think probably the last couple of years I got my own around. I haven't gone into a shop and said I'll have that one. I don't want them off. I've ordered one. We know that we are competitive, but you know, it was actually really great to go through that with him. And not only did we buy the fish from him, but he also looked at some of the males that I bought from some of the other Goshki breeders, and he helped me work out what to put together. Now, we'll put them together this year, and we'll see what happens. That's the first year of that.
They're all hiding in that corner. what a cracking day it was at Adam Byers, and a big thank you to Gaz's Koi Pond. Gaz, thank you very much, mate, for letting me come on the trip with you. And yeah, it was a super awesome day. Can't thank you enough for letting me come along, and it was a nice trip, and to see subscribers and to see Vince and Koi Karma, Vicky and Paul from Bubble and Fins. It was just a very nice day out, and yeah, super over the moon with the 2 fish that I've got, but I'll show them in a different video. And like I say, thank you very much, guys, again. Thank you very much. And on that note, guys, keep safe, keep calm, and keep koi. Until the next one, see you later.